Sweaty Greasy Nerds is Hero, DJ, Katetsu Ryalu, and Lemon and Lime.
Yes.
And on Ijisu's side, his name is Hat. So
his name is Hat.
His name is Hat.
Well, there you go.
Let's go. And just to make sure that we are on sync, that my game's just starting up now, so it's 5 minutes. Count down. So if production has a problem with that, they can let us know. But we are starting out right now on Zones on MuscleForge. So this is definitely a game mode where mid-control can come sort of easy, and really the game is it comes down to how defending teams can get to the middle of the map. 40, 39, 38, 37, 36. I'm a little bit ahead, so FLC, maybe you can take us by play-by-play, and I can pay attention.
Yeah, I'm also a little bit ahead, but it's okay, because we can talk strats. We've got the strats. And so you were talking about mid-control there just a moment ago, and you can sort of see the way that Sweaty Greasy Nerds is going about holding it. Basically just throwing as many suction bombs as possible into the other side of the map. But unfortunately, the problem with this map is mid-control is very important, but it's also very easy to lose it. There's so many ways into the middle of the map that essentially you need to overextend in order to hold it, which is, like, you can essentially see, like, right now, it's so very quick and easy to get out of your base with an inkjet or just climb up a wall with a tri-slosher. And
it's almost
you're
as
sort
if,
of
like,
always in the range of someone else.
It's as if, like, the longer range weapons are really good for, like, holding the map and kind of camping, but at the same time you need to be very mobile in order to hold the map. So it's like you're kind of forced between using weapons that are effective at taking out people trying to come back to the middle of the map versus picking weapons that can deal with different ways of people coming back to the middle of the map.
Yeah, and so you can see exactly that right here. It seems as though Sweaty Greasy Nerds actually making an attempt here to get back in, but stopped short by Yellow Pearl's tri-slosher. Even though that push came in so late, it seems that there is just enough time maybe to get something happening, but no. Sweaty Greasy Nerds does go down in the first game, and you can see, like, both teams had a sort of period of time there where they were completely dominant on the map. It's just that Ijisu had a slightly longer period of time, and that's why they won. They got the full knockout. Yellow Pearl doing an amazing job there with the tri-slosh. You can sort of see why.
I think we could almost attribute that win to Yellow Pearl just getting those clutch picks on. You know, it was like Sweaty Greasy Nerds. They had these situations where they would get a pick, they would get map control, they pop some specials, the map would start to turn pink, and then all of a sudden that tri-slasher would just take out one or two key members, and all of a sudden it all kind of come crashing down. Always really annoying to, you know, as a team that's, like, not in the best position, you're starting to get back control. It looks like you're about to be able to, like, you know, get the objective or get the lead, and then there's just some guy sharking somewhere that takes out everybody, and you can't deal with him fast enough. And that's basically what that tri-slasher did multiple times.
Yeah, I think it was also partly a team comp thing, because you could sort of see there was no AoE as such, area damage.
I mean, they had bombs, but you kind of need a little bit of multiple things.
Yeah, and so the tri-slosher could basically just camp on a wall the whole game and then just pop up and kill people whenever he felt like it, so. But that's not going to work quite so well on Rainmaker Piranha Pit, a very open map with a sort of flat middle that's almost the exact opposite of MuscleForge. Arik, was that 60 or 50? I'm at 51, 50, 49, 48.
Yep, that's same.
Okay.
Arik whispering numbers into our ears,
yeah, so Rainmaker on Piranha Pit, of course. This, for those of you who played Splat 1, will all remember the fact that this was actually one of the banned maps online. It just never showed up because it was such a broken mess.
It was actually really... I thought it was fun. I mean, the problem with this map in Splat 1 was that once you got the Rainmaker past, like, I think it was like the 50-point mark or the 60-point mark, something like that.
40, 50,
it was just basically impossible to stop the Rainmaker because you would spawn and the Rainmaker would just kind of move away from your base towards the goal, which is really weird. Not quite like that in this game.
Which is why we have all this random structural
Tony Hawk's Pro
business.
Skater 2 map.
Yeah, just sort of chilling on the far end of the map there. So yes, this map is definitely, like I was saying, it's basically the complete opposite of Muscle Forge, and you can sort of see how both these teams have adapted to that. No more Tri-Slosher for Ijisu. They've gone back to the Slosher Deco, and just a general emphasis on range from both of these teams. Already a very strong start here from SGM, though.
You can tell which team has been stripping the pan more because they picked 3 dualies and a charger for Rainmaker. So
yeah, actually, that's an interesting point. So something that might be a little bit you might be noticing is the fact that there's no blasters in this game.
Yeah.
So blasters, of course, has long been one of the strongest weapon types in the game, but unfortunately, with blasters, sometimes they just don't quite kill quickly enough if you can't get the direct hits. And instead, that's why a lot of teams go for the dualies. And we see a full team wipe here in Sweaty Greasy Nerd's favor. They're going to be getting a solid push out of this. Riolu wall riding into the abyss. That's some European lag for you. And another almost team wipe. They've just got to get this this ball point. This might be a knockout. Is it a knockout? They have to get up the thing, and they do. It is a knockout.
Really having a little bit of trouble climbing trees there, apparently, is finally been knocked out. Like, yeah, like you were alluding to, one of the there's a few reasons that dualies are really good in Rainmaker, and there's a couple reasons why something like a blaster is not. Obviously, dualies are really good at popping Rainmaker. They're generally pretty mobile, especially when you have all those curling bombs and stuff, and you're able to move the Rainmaker. But what the big reason you were really alluding to is that a blaster often can't consistently stop the Rainmaker from moving, like other weapons can. Basically, the thing with the blaster is
more like specifically talking about it's a clutch moment. They've got 5 points left till they take the lead. You shoot it with a blaster. If you get the indirect, they just hop over.
Win. They
just win. You need to get the direct in those situations, whereas the dualies, they don't have that problem. They kill very, very, very quickly, especially against people who aren't necessarily firing back, like a Rainmaker might not be.
And they're better at shooting people that catch them by surprise. Whereas, a lot of times in Rainmaker, you have these situations where people hide and they kind of pop out to stop what is happening from happening, or to keep what is happening. And if you're a blaster kind of escorting the Rainmaker and somebody just magically appears, it's a lot harder for you to get that kill reactively than like a dually or a shooter or something, or even a roller, will be able to. The blaster in particular kind of has that weakness.
Yeah, and you can sort of see that's more or less what SGN was doing there. They got the Rainmaker to the 40-point mark, and then they just sort of left it there, waiting for Ijisu to make a move. And of course, Ijisu made a move, and they just got destroyed by a couple of dualies. So that, however, again, we're going to be completely shifting gears in the map because we've got Inkblot Art Academy coming up with Clan Blitz. Now, this map is one of those Clan Blitz maps, I think, where the cheese is completely justified. It's very, very difficult to make a push happen here just because of how few options you have to get the push started and how easy it is to defend it. On one hand, on how easy it is to defend it when you're just fighting against people who are running at your base.
Yeah.
On the other hand, it's very easy for a baller to just sort of slip in and
I'm here.
Yeah, basically. It's very, very easy. I think we even had a game yesterday it was what's their team name? The Ones team. Prophecy against
whatever it is this month.
Yeah, Prophecy basically did that to the team they were playing against, and I do apologize to them. I completely forgot who they were playing against, but it's essentially because it's such a short distance from mid to the basket, but that sort of short distance is really easily covered by things like splatlings and blasters and whatnot. You essentially need something. I think
Lean's actually using my my Neosplash build there. I didn't get to see what his subs are, but if anyone has read my guide about Neosplash and Clan Blitz, you basically run a ton of special charge, special saver, and bomb range, and you use it to basically just farm as many bomb rushes as possible and abuse the fact that in Clan Blitz, unlike specials like that's a bomb DJ. Unlike specials like Baller and Bubble Blower, where you really need to use them at key times to kind of push the objective, with Bomb Rush, you can just spam your Bomb Rush every time you get it to force mid-map control. Like we talked about, more mid-map control is really important in Clan Blitz, and just being able to spam Bomb Rush at the center of the map or whatever area you need to take at the current time when you constantly get 8 of them in a game, it's really useful in Clan Blitz. So we'll see how that ends up playing out as Lean is using that Neosplash build.
Yeah, so basically what Hitzel's saying is that we can blame him if Ijisu loses.
Yeah.
He's definitely not going to take credit when they win, if they win. Anyway, so it seems as though, for the time being, the objectives more or less in SGN's favor right now. We can see the... yeah, this is how you got to deal with ballers on this map. You just have two shooters just sitting on the platform, ready to shoot it down as soon as it tries to make a move. Really doing a very good job there of actually staying alive against the NZAP. Now doesn't have the power climb available and does die to a bomb, but at the same time you can sort of see how, like, exactly what we were talking about. SGN has lost their baller, and as a result they don't really have much choice except to bash their head against the brick wall that is the enemy team's plat. So at this point, it's essentially down to who can... Oh, actually, I say that.
Nice.
Lemon and Lime popping up out of nowhere to get the kill. Gets a second, in fact. We'll have to see, though. They need to kind of figure out who's going to get the power clams. There's clams being thrown everywhere.
You hold the clams, but I'm going to bubble. No, just give me clams. Oh, dang it.
And that is one way to screw up a push. Now, Ijisu does have time to... I'm sorry. So Ijisu does have time to make something of this. Basically, all they can do though before SGN gets back into the base is make their own power climb. They don't have one of their own already, and you can sort of see actually Ijisu does slip through there. They got the baller coming in to follow up as well. Some more clams going in. They do have time here to make something happen. They've got the control. The clams are flying in. There are still people sort of in the base, but I think everyone in the vicinity is out of ink, and they're just sort of looking at each other. The Slosher does clean it up, so it is a decent start here for Ijisu.
That's not a game-winning push, though, to be honest. And I was actually expecting a little bit more of that, but like we kind of talked about, because of the way that that SGN kind of failed that push, they dropped a lot. Like everybody had like 9 clams, and they all died and dropped 4. And they had just picked them up on the map, so the spawn system did not really have enough time to repopulate more clams on the map for Ijisu to pick up. So by the time Ijisu got that push going, they really didn't get the number of clams in that they probably could have if things had been a little bit different. I guess they weren't really quite as rewarded as maybe they felt that they should have been. And that has created a situation where SGM can get the lead here with one good push. I mean, all they need is 2 power clams and it's instant lead.
Yeah, there was a bit of a bloodbath in the middle of the map there, as I think it ended up in a 2v0 situation, or 1v0 situation there. Lean getting taken out and losing a ton of clams there. But you can sort of see, again, the same thing happened. Ijisu and SGN both had a sort of decent collection of clams, but no power clams. Right. And because clams can't spawn any faster than 4 per...
oh wait, this might be it.
Seconds, like, there just weren't any clams on the map to make a push with. And even though all of the bombs do stop the climb, they should be able to get in still. No,
oh no, it's bounced off the ceiling! No! That is so unfortunate. So many botched, like basically SGM would have the win right now if they just had one of these clam throws go properly. Pretty frustrating to deal with, but hopefully that they kind of take it as like, okay, like if we just keep playing the way we're playing, we're gonna get these wins, because there's no way that many weird things are gonna go bad 3 games in a row. But yeah,
the problem is that so many people have been dying with large amounts of clams that there just aren't any clams on the map. Even though the clams are probably spawning as fast as they can possibly spawn, there's just people constantly dying with like 7 or 8 clams. So they're dying faster than the clams can even repopulate. And now there are 23 clams for Ijisu, in fact. So they've got a complete stranglehold over this. SGN only has 10 seconds, essentially, to make a power climb, although they might be thankful for that donation from Mr. Hat. Right, that's a very unfortunate drop there. He just dropped, like,
I don't know if a power climb can jump. This is actually kind of bad for Ijisu. No, Ijisu, I think they're going to be able to get this.
Yeah, they got it. Just barely, they got it. That was a complete slugfest. So we were talking about, with Synergy, how clinical Synergy was with their Climb Blitz play on Manta Maria, and this was sort of what happens when things get chaotic. Like, it was a complete slugfest, a death match in the middle of the map, and so nobody could even make any power clams, let alone get any kind of pushes started, which meant that the one scrappy push that should never have been a game-winning lead was just barely enough, because it was the one time where Ijisu
it was the one time where someone actually made the 3-pointer.
Yeah, essentially. And mind you, we're not saying this to, like, talk smack against these guys. This is how this is how Clan Blitz can just descend into utter chaos the moment anything sort of like slips up with your coordination. Like there were a couple of times there where I think a couple of SGN players like had trails of clams behind them. They were just sort of throwing them at each other, and there were clams flying everywhere except at the enemy basket. And that's exactly the sort of thing that some of the teams like Synergy are able to sort of work around, I guess, and turn those into complete pushes where some of these pickup teams that are a little bit less experienced together might sort of flounder around a bit. Anyway,
I officially do take credit for Lean's defense with the bomb rush there.
Of course you do. And actually, in fairness, his bomb rush did prevent Ijisu, sorry, SGN from being able to make anything of that. That was that bomb just exploded immediately.
Yeah, the thing about bombs, so a little bit of the quirks of the way that Clan Blitz works online compared to LAN. Now, on LAN, it is harder to do the jump-in strat with the clams because since there's almost no latency, you basically have like a matter of frames to perfectly throw the clam in, and sometimes you can't even do that. If someone just shoots you as you hit the ground, you just can't throw the clam. Like there's just not enough time. And online, that doesn't quite happen the same way because the packets saying that you shot someone can't actually make it to the person throwing the clam fast enough to prevent them. However, bombs are detected. Their hit detection is on the victim and not on the attacker. So when you have a bomb rush going off, and if there was a bomb rush going off and you land in that bomb rush and try to throw the power clam, if those bombs are going off as you land, it doesn't. There's no latency involved.
There's no latency to screw you up. The bomb will just
switch. Your Nintendo Switch instructs you that you're dead, so there's no lag to be able to take advantage of, and that's what happened with that bomb rush.
Well, we are now moving on to Camp Triggerfish Tower Control. We've got quite a sizable amount of duelies in this game, good grief. So the Gluga Deco, in fact, coming out from Ijisu. SGN, I should say. No, I got it right the first time.
SGSOM.
SGSU. Excuse me. So, stalemate starting things off here, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of something to be expected from this map and mode, right? I mean, it's Camp Triggerfish. It's known for being kind of a long range, stand back and rifle down your opponents from far away, kind of wait for something different to happen kind of map. Like from Splatoon 1 as well. It was one of the campier maps in Splat 1. Let's not pretend otherwise. But it looks like Sweaty Greasy Nerds is off to a pretty good start here. After a little bit of back and forth at the start, they are able to get the tower to 41 points, looks like, and I think this might be the end of their push. Lean and Mr. Hat are in position. I don't think everybody is dead yet, so this might not be the end of the pressure, although it's the end of the points being put on the board.
Yeah, and in tower control, one of the big problems is, of course, if you do start losing people on the tower, it's very hard to, unless you've got someone like actually standing next to the tower, and you can sort of see Ijisu getting cleaned up right now by Riolu. The Gluga Deco is just barely stepping out from behind his wall. But once you start losing people on the tower, it becomes very difficult to keep the tower moving. Like, you can have people jumping to it, but as you see right here, but it's very easy for those people to get taken out if you start losing control. So what you really need in tower control is for the people escorting the tower to be the ones like taking all the fire. And this is classic Splatoon 196 Deco stuff right here that we're seeing from Yellow Pearl.
That was perfect positioning with that Gluga to be exactly in the wall. The exact timing when the wall disappeared to have that baller at the ready. Unfortunately, it didn't really have that big of an outcome of the rest of that situation, but it was really cool to watch. And we've seen like clips of Glugas doing really impressive stuff, and we've seen like kind of like the potential that they have. I know you don't like that word, but Gluga's a little bit of an advanced weapon that takes a learning curve, and once we start seeing Glugas get really good and start doing stuff like that more often, they get scarier and scarier, because that's the kind of thing that, like, if used at the right time, would have just completely won.
Yeah, and you could sort of see, like, in that particular instance, the Gluga didn't really get anything done, but at this point, that's sort of enough to buy them time. And at this stage, they need time for example, the Rapid Pro to get into mid and start taking control. SGN is making a push happen here, but you can see they've already started taking fire on the tower. They don't really have control around the tower, so this push isn't really going to go anywhere. And
they're staying alive-ish.
Yeah, they're staying alive though, and that's sort of the key thing, is because as long as the tower is sort of starting to move, that's unfortunate. As long as the tower is,
ladies and gentlemen.
as long as the tower is starting to move in a push like from the enemy side of the map, essentially that means that there's a couple extra respawn waves for SGN to sort of make the defense happen. Every time Ijisu is getting on the tower, they're getting on it at their own like 50-point mark, which means that
by the time
their low turfing team comp basically can't push across the map fast enough for SGN to like not stop them. Like it's just so easy for SGN to get in.
Maybe the NZAP just happens to be in the perfect position, and I mean, I guess the other, like, I guess like the custom duel has to paint as well. It's basically the situations that will lead from the map control situations for Ijisu are going to be ones where you're most likely not going to have the weapons you need to be able to paint. You just can't do it.
Yeah, and you can see the same thing exactly happening again. They pushed to about the 45-point mark, not exactly getting, like, they're not going to push any further. But now they have to, Ijisu has to wait until the tower gets all the way to the middle of the map and then get on it and start scoring themselves. Now, they do have the specials put together here. It looks as though Rielu's close to his Stingray, so he'll be...
he'll definitely get it. And I don't think a counter race... Yeah, there is no counter race on the other team.
And you can see already, because there's so little turf control on the... Ijisu, actually, I say that's getting awfully dangerous, this push. Okay, they're going to stop it, I think.
Dooley's just diving off the map.
Good grief, that baller got... That was... Yeah, so I'd like to introduce you to the new Splatoon game mode called Pinball. But you could see exactly what we're talking about here. Every time Ijisu tries to make something happen, they lose so many people just because they don't have control of the map on the count of their team comp being so low on turfing as compared to the double and parries plus custom dualies on SGN's side. And you can see, like, even though most of the last minute there was played on SGN's side of the map, Ijisu's side of the map was still green. Like, there was still plenty of options for Lemon and Lime and DJ and Hero to just go and flank wherever they felt like it. And that sort of surrounding the tower to clean up the people on the tower, clean up the defenders, make it so that someone's always, like, forced to go back and fetch the tower. That is the kind of sort of snowball defense the tower control really favors. So SGN doing a really good job there, even though it got a little bit dicey in the end. That was essentially exactly, like, they did everything right there, aside from, like, maybe push a little bit further, but you can't really discredit them for that.
Yeah, and something that's kind of funny about the way that played out is, you can imagine in Splat 1, that would have been a situation where people would have been stealth dumped in the tower, that would have been a Kraken that landed there and allowed more people to stealth jump in, and the way quick response stealth jump worked in Splat 1, it's like, even if you knew that people were jumping in, the fact that stealth jump delayed everything so much, it meant that, but you could get a full wipe, but there was still a guy, like, charging his stealth jump in their base, knowing that he's going to jump in, and everybody's going to be able to respawn and jump to him too. The difference between Splat 1 and Splat 2 is in Splat 1 you had that crazy quick response stealth jump thing going on, and Splat 2 you have Stingray. So it's kind of
and on top of that, everyone who jumped in would drop a splat bomb too. So it was you couldn't even stand on the tower to necessarily stop it from moving. Like, you just had to keep getting off it over and over and over again, because every single time there would be a splat bomb at your feet, and like, it was essentially a complete nightmare.
Yeah, whereas like in Splat 2, it's like it's easier to defend the tower, especially with Stingray. It's like kind of like too easy to defend the tower. Whereas in Splat 1, it was too hard to defend the tower. But it was Camp Triggerfish. Defense is actually legitimate on Triggerfish. We talk a lot about in Splatoon where you don't want to be too defensive because it's just going to give your opponents too many opportunities to get a score that's bigger than yours. But Sweaty Greasy Nerds was able to hold that defense. They really. It looked kind of messy, like during that last push from Ijisu, where it was kind of like, okay, like we need to win now if we're going to win kind of thing. But it was defended really well, and basically a dominating game from Sweaty Greasy Nerds.
Yeah, and that dominating game takes us to a decider. This is a best of 5, of course, so with a 2-2 scoreline, this is the last game. Splat Zones on Blackbelly Skate Park. We were just talking about Splatoon 1, and this is a bit of a classic. Although if you are remembering some of the old Black Belly Skate Park Splat Zones games from Splatoon 1, this is quite a different story. Especially now that the Explosh has been released. We might not necessarily see one here, but this is essentially the place, the map that you go to play on if you really like dying to burst bombs.
Yeah, this is it kind of went from like Black Belly Skate Park to maybe kind of like a Brokeback Skate Park. It's just like everything that like whatever the game kind of swings in a different direction here, you just kind of roll your eyes because of how silly things can be. Now we do see a charger from one side and a ballpoint splatling from the other team. Now I think that the ballpoint splatling is really nice here because one of the issues that we've talked about with Hydra in the past, right, where you have this kind of situation where you have a weapon that's really good if it gets into a spawn killy kind of oppressive situation, but it has to be a Hydra for every moment that's not happening. Makes it really difficult to get to those situations, whereas a ballpoint doesn't have that problem. The ballpoint can be almost a 10 attack, just kind of run around, be effective, get a lot of paint control, get those, those ink jets, get those kills and such, and then kind of turn into a Hydra when it becomes a good idea. Where the charger kind of doesn't have that kind of luxury. So we'll see how Sweaty Greasy Nerds is able to kind of use their charger comp versus this ballpoint comp to get out of their base when you have tri-slashes and such pushing this far forward.
Yeah, you can see though this is a bit of an overextension perhaps from Ijisu. You can see that they had two people going into the enemy pipe, which there was nobody there to really greet them, and now they're sort of stuck over there, which means that SGN can kind of just chill and walk in the middle unopposed.
Yeah, and then another person going to go down. This is split spawns. If this ends up gets taken out, this is going to be a huge amount of time for Sweaty Greasy Nerds. DJ over here going to watch left side. He's going to build up that InkStorm eventually. That's going to come in a lot of handy. I know he runs Special Saver. We have other members in the middle of the map just kind of watching with long-range weapons. The Charger is in position. This is looking really good for Sweaty Greasy Nerds. They should gain the lead here. I know that they just lost zone, but they got to pick. DJ's putting a lot of pressure from behind. If they do start to push up towards that zone, they have to watch out for DJ, as actually it looks like maybe some members of Sweaty Greasy Nerds might get taken out here.
Yeah, it looks like a bit of indecisiveness, perhaps, from SGN. They do get the zone back, and this should be good for... Oh, not quite. Wow. That was a very quick recap. There was a little bit of indecisiveness, I think, from SGN there. You could see that DJ was sort of doing the right thing there by not committing to the enemy team spawn without any idea of where they actually were. But then as soon as his teammates started pushing in sort of under the enemy team suicide, that should have been when DJ sort of made to go in. And you could sort of see he was kind of stuck a little bit in the middle of the map as a result.
If he had gone behind, everybody who tried to paint zone on the side of Ijisu would have been in like a lot of trouble. They would have got easily punished. There would have been like a longer range weapon with a splat bomb behind them. It would have been basically a pincer situation, but that's not how it went down. Now I do see Sweaty Greasy Nerds getting a pick, getting another pick, Stingray going off. Unfortunately, the teammate gets taken out, so the 2v2 situation here in the center of the map. They know where Lean is. They get some damage on him. Are they going to be able to deal with him? He goes to top mid. Sweaty Greasy Nerds still in their base, essentially. Nice snipe. That is going to be huge because now the long-range weapon that we talked about is not going to be there. Oh my god, Ryulu is completely dominating right now, and he's going to get back into the same position we talked about earlier. Inkjet going off. Charger in position. As long as it doesn't get taken out by that ball point, he's going to be in a really good position. Going to use the Stingray. He knows that somebody's hiding over there. They jump out. Sweaty Greasy Nerds has complete map control. Penalty shaved off. Now, the problem is they aren't getting any picks, but if they get a pick or two in the next 15 seconds or so like that, they're going to be in a really good position.
Yeah, that was very, very well done there by Sweaty Greasy Nerds. You could see that maybe a little bit jumping the gun on the Stingray there, but you can see that now they've got exactly what they want, which is a spawn camp situation with now everyone sort of streaming in one by one. This is what we call split spawns.
Oh, no.
I mentioned it earlier. Split spawns like this, where now they've got two people up, but they can't do anything. That armor on the end zap is completely useless. He has to wait, and then he gets taken out.
He gets taken out anyway, yeah. And that is going to be it. Sweaty Greasy Nerds is going to take that. I mean, man, like it was kind of hard to really predict how. It's always hard to predict exactly how this game is going to go. There are so many things that can go wrong. There are so many things that can go right. We talked about the ballpoint kind of being like a Hydra plus almost, where you're a little bit less than a Hydra, but you're more able to get in a position. But man, I feel like every single time Lean tried to do something, Ryulu just took his face off, and that really made it hard for that team comp out of Ijisu to take advantage of what they wanted to do. And it just ended up being Sweaty Greasy Nerds. They had that kind of fumble at the beginning that really gave Ijisu the opportunity to win, but they weren't able to outplay Sweaty Greasy Nerds afterwards, and that is going to be 3-2 in Sweaty Greasy Nerds' favor, and what I think was a really good set.
That was an excellent set. Definitely very chaotic, and you could definitely see